Have you ever just, stopped and wondered how your body does it all? I mean, how does it manage growth, your energy, your mood, all at the same time, without you even thinking about it? It is an unbelievably complex operation. So, how in the world does it pull it off? Seriously, just think about it for a second. Something has to be calling the shots, right? Telling your bones when it's time to grow or telling your metabolism to kick into gear. It's definitely not magic. It's this incredibly sophisticated and kind of hidden internal network. And that network, it's called the endocrine system. This is basically your body's command and control center. Think of it like a secret messaging service that's running the whole show from behind the curtain. So, let's pull that curtain back and see how it all works. Okay, so what is this system, really? Well, at its heart, the endocrine system is a network of special glands. Now, what's cool about these glands is that they're ductless. That means instead of using tubes, they release their chemical signals right into the body's superhighway, your bloodstream. And those chemical signals, we call them hormones. The best way to think about hormones is like tiny little memos or text messages being sent all over your body. Each hormone has a super specific job, a specific instruction, and it just travels through the blood until it finds the exact cell or organ that it's supposed to talk to. They're in charge of, well, pretty much everything. Right, so every command center needs a headquarters, an HQ, and the endocrine system is no different. The main office is actually located right there in your brain. This creates this absolutely crucial link between what you're thinking and feeling, your nervous system, and your hormone system. This is where the big strategic decisions get made. And check this out, there's a clear chain of command, just like in a company. At the very top, you've got the hypothalamus. Let's call it the CEO. The CEO sets the big picture strategy. Then it sends its orders down to the pituitary gland, which is like the general manager. The pituitary takes those high-level commands, translates them into specific actionable orders, which are more hormones, and then sends those out to all the different departments throughout the body. And while this manager is juggling a lot, for example, it sends out growth hormone to manage all the body's construction projects. Everything from growing taller as a kid to just repairing tissues day to day. It sends out a message called TSH to the thyroid, telling it to get to work controlling your metabolism. It's also in charge of the entire reproductive system with FSH and LH, and even manages milk production with prolactin. And when you're stressed, it sends a signal, ACTH, down to your adrenal glands to get you ready for action. It is a very, very busy office. But wait a minute. This brings up a really good question. If this manager is just constantly firing off orders, how does it ever know when a job is actually finished? How does the body not just make way too much of one hormone? Well, the system has this absolutely genius self-regulation mechanism built right in. It's called a feedback loop. You can think of these loops as status reports getting sent back to HQ. And there are two main kinds. The most common one is negative feedback. This is basically a message that says, all right, mission accomplished. We have enough. You can stand down. It's like turning the faucet off. And then you have positive feedback, which is the complete opposite. It's a message that screams, amplify the signal. More. We need one big final push to get this done. It's the accelerator pedal. Let's look at a perfect example of negative feedback, the faucet turning off. The pituitary, our manager, sends TSH to the thyroid. The thyroid gets the message and starts making its own hormones. As these thyroid hormones build up in your blood, the level itself acts like a signal. Once it gets high enough, that signal goes all the way back up to the CO and the manager, the hypothalamus and pituitary, and tells them, stop, we're good. And they stop sending TSH. Everything stays in perfect balance. Now for the accelerator pedal. A fantastic example of positive feedback is ovulation. Right before ovulation, estrogen levels start to rise. But instead of shutting things down, that rise in estrogen signals the pituitary to release even more of another hormone, LH. Well, more LH causes more estrogen, which causes, you guessed it, more LH. The signal just keeps amplifying, building and building this incredible surge until, bam, it triggers the main event, the release of an egg. It's all about building to a climax. Okay, so we've got how the commands are sent out and how the whole system keeps itself in check, but what about on the receiving end? How do the individual cells actually read these hormonal memos? How does a message actually become an action? Well, it really depends on the size of the hormone. Your big hormones, the protein-based ones, are too bulky to get inside a cell, so they use the doorbell method. They dock onto a receptor on the outside of the cell, ring the bell, and that passes the message inside to trigger a change. This is super fast. On the other hand, you've got small hormones, like steroids. They act like a master key. They're tiny enough to slip right through the cell membrane, go all the way into the nucleus, the cell's own little brain, and change its instructions directly at the source. This is a much more powerful change, but it's a bit slower to happen.
So you can see this system is incredibly precise. But because it's so finely tuned, if that balance gets thrown off, if you have too much or too little of a hormone, the consequences can be huge. Let's really dig into how critical this balance is by looking at growth hormone. It's a really powerful example of what happens when these signals get scrambled.
Okay, check this out. It's not just about the amount of hormone. The timing is everything. If a person's body produces too much growth hormone before puberty, when their bones are still able to get longer, the result is gigantism. But if that exact same excess of hormone happens after puberty, their bones can't get longer anymore, so instead they get thicker. This leads to a condition called acromegaly, which causes enlarged hands, feet, and facial features. And of course, on the flip side, if there's too little growth hormone during childhood, the result is dwarfism. It just perfectly shows how the whole secret to this system is getting how much and when exactly right. It's really just an incredible, silent symphony of signals that's happening inside of you every single second of your life. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? As you're sitting here right now, your body's command center is firing off thousands and thousands of these messages. What do you think they're saying?